What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Content is Profit podcast. Today's episode had a bit of technical difficulties, so please bear with us because today's episode, it is full. It is jam-packed with golden boulders, guy. Not even golden nuggets, golden boulders. It is absolutely amazing.
That's true.
So, guys, please bear with us and on to the episode.
We've got some
Hey, I'm Luis.
And I'm Luis.
And you're listening to the Content is Profit podcast.
We spent the last 4 years learning the strategies and techniques from some of the top marketers in the world on how to create content that turns into profit.
If you'd like to learn more on how to turn that content into profit, go to contentisprofit.com. We have a little surprise for you right there. Fonzie, we're so proud of you. You made it. You did it.
I did it, guys.
You did it.
And
yes.
Today, we're going to talk about the importance of creating a brand, not just a business.
Ooh, baby, can't wait to dive into this because our personal experience is really attached to this thing that we call brand and that we call business. So we'll see. I love it.
True,
I love
guys.
it. Can't wait to dive in.
But before we start, a message from today's sponsors.
What?
Ourselves, the BIZBROS, with content momentum.
That's right. That's right.
If you have a long piece of content, just like this one, just like this podcast that you're watching or listening right now, and you want to turn it into a bunch of value-packed, bite-sized assets that then you can send like little minions across the social media, right? So they can recruit and bring you back all those prospects and clients. We want to help you.
Let's go.
If you want to turn that long-form content into all those, reach out to us, send us a DM at BIZBROSCO. We want to help you out, guys.
So, before we get started with the show itself, thank you, Fonzie, for that highly sponsored message. Please go ahead and don't forget to subscribe. Smash that subscribe button and follow us on social media at BIZBROSCO.
That's right. And if you find this episode impactful, which I am sure you will because today's guest is epic, please don't forget to share it and leave a 5-star review.
Okay, so have you ever heard a podcast and said to yourself, how cool would it be to have a conversation with that person? Well, we usually reach out to them, and today's guest is one of those cool podcast superstars. This, my friends, is going to be epic.
He is not only a podcast rock star, he is a design master, or should we say a brand doctor. Point is, he's here to help all of us discover the role that content has on branding. Just like his website says, actually, we didn't get into business just to change a few lives, right? So today, we'll discover how we can change tons of lives.
Today's guest has been in business for 14 years. That's right. There is a feed on its own.
That right there is a feat of its own.
Dang it. I messed it up. It's all good. It's okay. He has won the 2 Comma Club Award for selling over 1 million in one sales funnel. But wait, there's more. He has actually worked with brands such as ClickFunnels and, wait for it, Bon Jovi.
What? Living on a prayer.
You wanted to do that, right?
I did want to do that, guys.
Oh, man.
Please welcome founder of Unique Designs, host of the Brand Doctor podcast, the Brand Doctor himself, Mr. Henry Kaminski Jr. What's up, Henry? Welcome. Oh, he's throwing the dance moves.
Let's go. Hey. Let's go. I want everybody listening right now to throw the dance move.
Welcome, Henry. Welcome.
I gotta tell you, I've done hundreds of podcast episodes, and I have never gotten an intro as good as that, man.
Oh, man. Yeah, let's go, team. Thank you.
Means a lot. Means a lot. We are so excited to have you here today.
Dude, thanks for having me, guys. What a pleasure to meet you guys. The energy of the show is just contagious, and I'm so happy to be here. Again, thanks for the invite.
Absolutely, man. And, you know, we chatted a little bit behind cameras before going live, and we're like, oh, my gosh. Like, we saw Henry for the first time when he was on the Sans Murphy's show, and we're like, this is incredible. I think he has a unique way of looking at things when it comes to branding and messaging and all this stuff, and how cool is all this. And we're like, this, we have to bring him to the show. Absolutely. So thank you for accepting the invite and be here live with us. Now, Henry, like, share a little bit of your story, like how this everything started, because I understand that, you know, the branding side was not the beginning. It was completely different. So I want to hear the story, and maybe we can share with the audience what was that like, and then, you know, what are you currently doing?
Yeah, well, when I graduated college, I got a degree in communications. I still didn't know what the hell I wanted to do or be when I grew up. Right around 9/11 when I graduated, so nobody was hiring, and I used connections and an influential uncle to help me get a job at a local hospital. Not a premium level job whatsoever. But I was young. I was 22 years old. So What do you expect? So I worked my way up the hospital, got my master's degree in business management through the hospital. They actually paid for it, which was one of the great things that came out there. So picking up where we left off. So I was getting pretty good at special event planning, and I had to create 4 events a year to hold my job, really. And I had Z100, one of the biggest radio stations in the country, or in the world, really, sponsor one of my events. Literally, that's the power of email. You just literally cold turkey emailed one of the morning show hosts who's still on the radio today, Daniel Monero, and I said, hey, I'm doing this event, it's going to support these families, and would you be interested in joining and participating and sponsoring? And she was like, yeah, where do I sign up? So I knew this one was going to be a big one. So I needed marketing material that really packed a punch and really looked the part, right?
Yeah.
So my buddy, who was a graphic designer, was like, listen, man, we'll take care of all the poster design, flyer design. We got you. So I went over there on a Sunday morning, and I was watching him design all the marketing material, and I just got bit by the design bug, guys. I was like, dude, this is what graphic design is all about. Like, I want in. So fast forward, the event went awesome. We raised like $20,000. It was an amazing event. And then I went back and convinced my boss to buy Photoshop so I could do all the design work in-house. So I eventually started getting pretty good at design, and I started up a little hustle on the side and started working for a lot of the nightclubs in the area, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, and I started getting a lot of work out of, for the stuff. So eventually 2008 hits, economic crisis, hospital tightens up. They're like, you know what? And I saw it coming, because they started putting me in these real weird positions. Like, at the end of when you come back from lunch from now on, you're going to be filing papers for an admin.
Oh, man.
I was like, I don't want to do that. But I had to do what I had to do, because, the design work wasn't really cutting the mustard just yet. And I was so new to everything. But I saw it coming, and they gave me an ultimatum at the end of 2007. They were like, you can stay here and probably just get consumed as someone's secretary, or you could leave. And I was like, you know what? I'm gone. And it wasn't that easy. I was scared to death. I consulted with my father, my uncle, my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife, and I was like, what do I do? What do I do? And here's the straw that broke the camel's back. So my uncle owns this giant construction company.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I could do what every other family member does when they're in a pickle, and the family business will just absorb me somehow, and I'll just work for the family business, and we'll figure this out.
That's exactly what happened with Fonzie and me. He's like, bro, can I work with you? I was like, absolutely not. And look at us.
Yeah. So it was a blessing in disguise. So my uncle, I sit down with my uncle and I have this conversation with him, and I got a response that I really wasn't ready for. He was like, well, if I hired you, what would you do here? Because you don't really know anything about highway construction. Yeah. I don't want to put you behind a shovel. So what would you do? And I really didn't have an answer. So he says, listen, let me talk to my daughter, my cousin, and the VP, and let's see if we can figure something out for you. 1 week goes by, 2 week goes by, 3 week goes by, no answer. And finally, I'm getting nervous because it's getting close to the 1st of January, right? So I just said, you know what? That was my answer.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
So I know what to do. So I went to my boss and I said, you know what? Thanks for the opportunity. It's been a great 8 years. I spent 8 years there. I said, it's been a great 8 years. I'm out. And so I was scared to death. And I went out and I hustled my ass off for the first year. And I remember my bookkeeper saying, dude, you know what you did this year? And I said, no, I've been working 20 hours a day. Don't I? I know, you know, it must be doing okay. He said, dude, you did $248,000.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, what? He said, yeah, you did close to $250,000 by yourself.
Wow.
And people don't even make that in like the first 3 years of their business. Never mind the first year by yourself, one man band graphic designer, just hustling his ass off. And so that gave me the energy, that gave me the motivation, that gave me the empowerment to go on. And for 36 months, I made my first $1 million. And then ever since then, about every 36 months, I make another $1 million. And then it wasn't until 2018 where I hit $1 million in under a year. Wow. And I got the 2 Comma Club Award. And, you know, we just been fired up ever since. So now it's more of a team effort. I can't take all the credit because I have a team of 6 people that help me. I have, you know, the project managers, to designers, to developers. So I have a team now, and so my specific duty in the agency is really to work with client on strategy and story, and really make sure that they have a brand that they're proud to promote. And then the team does a lot of the execution. So the funnel design, the funnel build, the website design, logo. You know, we're a full service agency, so we're gonna make sure that you look the part, and you have a brand at the end of the day that truly represents the value that you deliver.
That's so awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Dude, Henry, thank you. Sorry, we're talking at the same time. Let's do this. I appreciate you sharing the story, because so powerful, right? So many people start, you know, as either freelancers or one-man shop, and you know, we resonate a lot with that story. You know, for the first like 3, almost 4 years, right? We used to call it a business, but it wasn't really a business, like a freelance, you know, gig. And then there's different elements that you start putting on, and you know, now we're proud to say, okay, yes, like now this is a business. There's some systems and processes in place, and it's inspiring to see, you know, your story and how you were able to grow. Especially, you know, a lot of people ask us, how do you work with family, right? So, and you have a really good answer that you, with your uncle, they never go back to you. I'm like, okay, well, I'll take it as a sign, you know, of the bigger self, and then I'm just gonna move on and seek this opportunity, which is awesome. Yeah,
no, absolutely. You know, and what I find really interesting too is that you didn't start working for brands, right? Like, you didn't start working with the brand itself. You started with an element, which was design, right? And for us, we started the same, working with an element, which was, you know, first photography and getting into businesses through photography, right? Eventually build up to what we build right now. And same as you, eventually build up to work with, you know, the holistic approach of brands, if we want to talk about it in that way. And I'm curious, you know, as someone that sees every single time when someone is starting a business, they're like, what is the first thing you need to do? And everybody's like, I need my logo, right? Like most people say that, right? Like, I need my logo. And I was guilty of that. And I spent a lot of time, you know, trying to figure out what are we going to do and all that stuff. What is the logo? What is it going to look like? And my personal approach is start for the activities that move the needle forward, right? But I'm curious to hear your opinion about that, right? Like, what is it, for someone that is at the beginning, that is starting, where should they start, especially on the branding side?
Oh man, what a great question. I get it 1,000 times a day. So if I can't answer this one, forget it. Kick me off the show. Yeah. So let's break this down. So it's so funny because everybody jumps to the logo right away too. Yeah. Or the funnel or the website. Yeah. You know, get me all that pretty stuff, right? Yeah. And I gotta. It's funny because it's that stuff is actually the last to be done. There's so much more to be done. So when somebody comes to me and says, listen, I have this idea. I'll give you a quick example. We had a client come to us. He says, I have this idea. It's worked for me dozens and dozens of times. I've had 13 businesses over the past 20 years. I have a process that I want to monetize, but I don't know where to start. And I said, okay, well, who are you serving? That's step one.
Yes.
Who do you want to serve?
Yeah.
Right? Get really, really clear on that. Right? And he was very clear. He's businesses that make $1 million or more. Okay, great. What niche? In the tech manufacturing niche. Okay, cool. Or the engineer. I'm sorry, engineering, manufacturing, or tech, tech development. Right? And I was like, okay, we're on to something. Right? So we got very, very, very clear on who it is that we wanted to serve. That was number one. Number two was, well, why should somebody buy from you and not somebody else? So what is your unique differentiation, right? And that could be from your story. It could be you as the personal brand itself. It could be you. It could be that you are just serving that specific industry and don't serve anybody else. But one of the things that I really want to point out is a lot of the things that make you different are sitting right underneath your nose, and we just don't know it. I'll give you a quick story. So, I turned 40 last week. Right?
Congrats! Happy birthday!
Thank you. A lot of things have changed for me personally when you hit that age, right? And I just had a big bash in my backyard this weekend, and everybody was like, "Speech." We're only on this planet for a very short time when you look at the big picture.
Yeah.
And if we're not designing the life that we want, we're not really living. There's too many people out there that are designing their lives because somebody else wants them to live that life.
Yeah.
They're not designing the life that they want. And in 40 years, I did a lot of that. My first 40 years was basically living for other people and being not much of anything at all, because I was so afraid to plant my flag in the ground and stand for what I wanted to really stand for. And what is that? And what it is, it's confidence. I have a successful business, and I live a life that a lot of people don't live, and it's sad. And I don't want to see that, because the next 40 years, I'm going to dedicate my life to really helping people understand. Listen, you could design the life of your dreams if you focus on that. And so that's what kind of makes my agency a little bit different, because it's not just a churn and burn. Like, you're not just going to get a design from me. Yeah. You're going to get a little bit, you're going to get a little bit of a mentor as well. And that, and I can only speak from experience, right? Yeah. And I can only speak to people that want that. Right. I see too many people out there trying to convince people why they should work with them, when in all reality, what you should be doing is just finding the people that really, really need and want you.
Absolutely. Sorry, like I just get super excited because, the quote like right under the show is like, how to achieve that frictionless sale. And, on my personal life, I used to manage fitness studios, and the selling process was trying to convince these people to come and do this workout. And I was really frustrated because I thought that was the only way. And what we do now has allowed us to have conversations with people like, wow, guys, I really want to work with you. And then after they say that, they're like, what do you guys do? So it's like, it's so amazing because, it's really, then the conversation completely changes, and we can open up about, the real needs. How can I really help you? Am I really a fit for you, right? Can we actually, make sure that we can deliver for your specific case? And for us, we personally struggled a ton when we were starting up with the who. Like, I remember sitting down in front of the whiteboard, like, who do we serve? We had so many services, different things, different process. Well, we can't even call them processes, but things that we did. And it was really, really challenging to not only scale, but to develop those systems and processes. And we're like, who do we want to serve? And remember, we had really success with a type of business, and we're like, we don't really want to go and be the guys for that type of business. And it was not until we found the system, right? The unique, how do they call it?
The unique mechanism.
The unique mechanism, like Todd Brown, right? And that's what differentiates us. And now we're able to serve different industry, but under that unique mechanism. And we've been having amazing conversations with a lot of people. So thank you for breaking it down. And then after that, there's a ton of elements that I'm assuming you guys also do, and you guys are very passionate about, that can elevate, you know, that side of things. And then you can build the brand, the rapport, the trust, and different aspects.
Yeah. You know what I found curious is that statement that you said, which is kind of like design the life that you want, right? And I'm curious that you use the word design as well, and then you were talking about experience. So I'm curious, you know, like where in your experience, what happened, you know, throughout your life that led you to, you know, think for yourself, saying, you know, I need to design a better life than what I'm living right now, or like were you living without a plan whatsoever? Were you just going and trying to build something without a clear goal? And then eventually you were like, you know what? I do need to know what path am I going to be taking.
Oh man, there's so many things there that like resonated with me. And and like the answer is yes to all of that. Like when I first started, I was, you know, designing club flyers for people, like for promoters and nightclubs all over the place. So like, I didn't want to do that when I was 40 years old.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do that when I was 50 years old. I remember working, it was like 20 hours one day on a weekend, and I broke for lunch, and I was like, Henry, this is can you see yourself doing this when you're 40? Like literally working with these like hustle, like snake oil promoters, you know, getting beat out of money and beat out of, you know, like, no. So look, when are you going to wake up and change? Like, when are you going to change that? Right. And I didn't know the plan. I had no idea. And then finally I just wrote, a bunch of things happened, right? Fiverr came out, and what I was charging $300-400 for, you were getting now on Fiverr for $5.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, well, where's the industry going, right?
Yeah.
Excuse me. And so I was like, it was like the universe was giving me a beating.
Wow.
And it basically was saying to me, if you don't grab the universe if you don't grab something by the horn here and run and really become the captain of your ship, then we'll just dominate you and tell you what to do. And I think a lot of people do that. And what happened? So let me give you an example of that, right? How many people do you know today that are grown-ass men or women that still worry so much about what their parents say?
A ton.
Yeah, there's quite a few.
Majority, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right? So that's one. Number two, how many people do you know will not do something because their spouse has put the kibosh on it?
Well, I know of one, and I have it right here, right?
Hey, man, it's all about the paperwork. No, I'm kidding.
So these are some tough examples that I'm presenting.
Yep.
But, you know, I'll give you a personal example, right? So my parents got divorced, unfortunately, when I was young, and it was a horrible divorce. And I remember parts of it that I don't want to remember, right? But one of the things, so it was very weird. So my father was the one that actually got custody of me because my mom kind of took off on me. And I looked up to my father as like my hero my entire life. Like, he was like, anything he said was gold. And, you know, it wasn't until I got out of the house and started living on my own and like started to like detach from him a little bit, that I started to see that we were different in many, many ways. You know, he's a blue collar guy. He's a mechanic for 3 years for UPS. Like, he wasn't a risk taker. Where me, on the other hand, I'm willing to jump into fire and figure out how to get myself, better on the way out, right?
Yeah.
And you know, my wife saw that and was like, "Well, why don't you just continue doing that? Why do you need validation from anyone anymore?" Right?
Yeah.
And that was huge for me. So that was wake up call number one. And then what happened was COVID hits. I'm just fast forwarding here a little bit.
Yeah.
And I didn't get to see my father for like 6 months.
Wow.
And I mean, we talked on the phone and stuff, but like, he doesn't even have he doesn't have an iPhone, so we can't FaceTime or anything. So I didn't even see him for half a year. longest I ever gone without him. And recently, you know, things got better and he came over for my son's birthday. And it was blatantly clear how the way he lives his life now at 77 years old and how I live my life are very, very different.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right. And it was a wake up call for me. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to live my life like under his rule anymore.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm 39 years old. Like at the time, you know, I'm 40 now. And then finally I was just like, I'm done.
Yeah.
You know, and I give it to my wife sometimes too. You know, she's been getting on my ass for a couple of things, and I'm like, I'm 40. I'm not gonna live. That's my excuse. I'm 40.
I'm 40.
I don't really give a shit anymore.
Yeah.
Right? What anybody thinks. If it doesn't feel comfortable for me, I'm not doing it, and I don't give a shit what you think.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
And I just lay it down now, and you know what? I get more respect than I've ever gotten in 40 years. Because of it. So before I forget, guys, like, so what am I doing here? Why am I talking all of this nonsense? Well, this is brand. This is my brand.
Yes.
And this is the brand that you don't have to like it.
Yep.
I have to like it. I need to be proud of it. And so the definition of brand that I found to be the best one on the planet came from a branding colleague of mine, Marty Neuheimer. He's got a ton of books out on branding. And he says branding is the gut feeling that people get when they interact with you, your business, your product, your service. That's it.
Yeah.
So essentially, when I leave this podcast and all of these people leave the live stream, they're going to say, what about Henry Kaminski?
Yep.
That's brand.
Love it.
I don't think I've ever heard the definition of branding, and I really like it because it kind of boils it down to the intuition on the other person, right? Like, again, and we've probably heard it many times, it's like people might not remember exactly what you said, but they're going to remember how you made them feel. Yeah. And I think it goes hand in hand with what you're saying, right? Because at the end of the day, they're going to say with whether you made them feel good or you were, you know, a pain. And they're going to say yes or no regarding on that at the end of the day. I mean, we make our purchasing decisions from, you know, our feelings, mainly emotionally, and then we go and we justify it. So I love that branding definition that you just shared with everybody.
And I wanna say something like the story that you shared, definitely not nonsense, because we can see parallel things with our lives and our businesses, right? Because our business is the extension of ourselves. And I think, you know, we're just on calls before this, and we're chatting with people that are about to start publishing. Like, these guys are like, okay, you know, I have my offer ready, I have my funnel ready, I have, like, you know, I think I have a business and I'm ready, you know, to make so much money and hit the 2 Comma Club award, right? And then but then we're like, okay, you know, publishing has helped us. Like, it's all over the internet. Like, you can see the journey, right? It's out there. It's helped us big time because it's us, raw, live. You saw it today, right? We had a little bit of connectivity issues. That's okay. That's us, right? But that's not going to stop us from moving forward and publishing and creating all these assets, right? So people trust us because we've been there. And then, but at the same time, when we're chatting with these people, they're facing their own fears, right? For the longest time, for us, that was the issue, was like, oh man, the friction, the edit, if it's not perfect, it can't go out. And we're like, you know, screw it. I don't care anymore.
I mean, just like you said, that fear of being judged by others.
Yeah, and it's like, you know what? Screw it. Let's have it out. Let's have amazing conversations with amazing people. It's for us. We've said it plenty of times. We're like, this is for us. And, you know, if people want to come along, that's fine. And that's great. And we've seen a lot of people kind of joining the content trend, the publishing. But for these guys that are starting, right, that's something that I feel like they have to face. And it's something, a decision that the sooner they make it, the better it's going to be for them and their business, as far as, you know, removing all that friction and being themselves and doing it for themselves instead of living on the rules of whatever, you know, company or whatever they feel it's like their circle or whatever it is, right? So thank you for bringing that parallel, because, you know, with life and us is being the same. Yeah,
and going off of what my brother just shared right now, you know, I'm curious, when did you decide to put yourself out there, right, and start creating your brand? Was it with content, or were you doing it in a different way at first? How did that whole process look like?
That's a great question. It's a great story too. So when my business started to fail bad after the first 5 years. So my 5th year, Fiverr comes out, Hurricane Sandy came through New Jersey, wiped out 2 of my biggest clients. I couldn't recoup that money that they were spending on me. It was a lot of money between 2 clients. And I started to flounder bad. And I was trying to figure out how to get back into the swing of profitability. And I couldn't. Like, how are you going to make up $250,000, you know, from 2 clients, right?
Yeah.
You would have to get like 50 clients to get that money, right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, what do I do? What do I do? And this is right when ClickFunnels came out. And so, you know, you ever hear that saying, like, what you focus on is what you're going to get?
Yeah.
Like, you focus on it enough, it's going to start to appear.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, it's so funny. I got to tell you something. I'm looking for somebody to do cut downs on my videos, and then I didn't realize that that's what you guys freaking do. I want to have a conversation after this. So that's, and I just put that out in the energy. I just put that energy out into the world last week. So look what happens. You guys hit me up, and now we're talking.
Oh my God, beautiful.
It's a perfect example. But here's what happened. So I put out in the universe, I need help. I need help. I need to deliver more value to my clients. Otherwise, I'm not going to have any. And that's when I found ClickFunnels.
Wow.
I knew that I could design my ass off in ClickFunnels.
Yes.
So I started designing kick-ass landing pages inside ClickFunnels. But who do I meet along the way? Russell Brunson.
Yeah.
And so I didn't have a pot to piss in, guys. I was like negative in my bank account. I had some cash from my wedding in the safe. That was basically what I was living off of, right? And guys, it was like 10 grand. It was going to last me probably 2 months.
Yes.
Right. And I said to him, he had this Ignite program. It was like at the Inner Circle, but it was a little bit of a lesser price point. And it was 10 grand. And I said, listen, I'll give you 5 now on a card, and I'll pay you 5 over the next 5 months if you let me do that. And they said, yeah, we'll do it. And so I jumped on a call with Russell, and we were both hysterical crying. And I told him my story. I told him where I wanted to go, and I told him I needed his help. And as he started to audit my business, he was like, Henry, I see this website here. Excuse me. It's beautiful. It's not the website that you see today. It was another iteration. Yeah. But he was like, it's gorgeous work, man. I've never seen a website designed like this. It's unbelievable. He said, but you, my friend, are nowhere to be found. You.
Yeah.
You're just hiding behind all of this pretty design work. So what differentiates you? Your pretty design work? Well, that's not enough. That's not enough. Pretty design work is not enough.
Yeah.
He's like, I would love to see you come out with this big personality of yours from New Jersey. and let the world know who Henry Kaminski is.
Yeah.
And I said, I like to talk. I think I can make that happen. And I started putting out content. Was it good? No. But it was something that I really enjoyed. I love getting in front of this camera. I love talking. That's why my podcast is getting 90,000 plus downloads a month. Like,
beautiful. Beautiful.
Obviously, I'm talking, right? But it took 4 years to get there, right?
Yeah.
People forget. People forget. We're in such a instant gratification world. Like, this is 14 years worth of work.
Yeah.
This camera setup, this audio setup, the way my brand looks today, 14 years in the making. That wasn't something I just came out of the gate with.
Yeah.
And I didn't have any branding help. I didn't have anybody like myself guiding me along the way. I was making massive mistakes that were costing me. I almost lost my business twice because I wasn't making the right financial decisions. And here we are, and I finally got my shit together, and now I have like the business of my dreams, and all my friends are like, wow, you stepped it up. And I'm like, yeah, because I focused on the right things, and I hired mentors along the way to help me.
Yes.
And that's it. Like, I did a piece of content this morning about how you get from 6 to 7 figures, and I told him how I did it. I was like, I stopped asking myself, how do I do that? How do I do this? How do I do that? How do I build a funnel? How do I build a website? How do I build a logo? How do I do? And I started asking myself, who can build me my funnel? Who can build me my website? Who can build me who can build me instead of how?
Yeah.
And I'll give it to you like this. My mentor gave it to me the best way, because I was having like imposter syndrome at one point in my career. Like I felt like what am I doing here? Right. I don't have any formal design training, or I didn't go to a fancy design school.
Yeah.
And he said, Henry, do you think a conductor of an orchestra knows how to play every instrument?
Ooh.
And I said, no. And he said, so you don't have to know everything. You just have to conduct. You just have to know how to conduct. And he said, Henry, you do that really well. I could tell, because your team has been with you for 6 years. Hardly any turnover. Like, just be confident in your conducting skills. And so now I just conduct. It's like a symphony over here. You know, I have my orchestra and I'm the conductor, and I just know what
Beautiful.
I know what to do best. And my team, and I trust my team to get it done.
Yes.
And that has helped me go from 6 to 7 figures. And I'm not snapping my fingers just like because it happened overnight. I'm saying it. But that was the mindset shift.
Beautiful.
That changed everything. And that goes for you. I'm going to give you guys a huge shout out. Like anybody
Thank
that
you.
needs content creation done, right?
Absolutely.
Do you have the time to do all that long form content cut down? No.
Definitely not.
So when somebody says like, what's the value in this, guys? Like, why should I hire you?
It's
You know,
time.
what's this gonna do? What's this gonna do for me? You know, I love how you said it best. You said, when we cut down your long form content, it's like we create little minions for you that go out and help you, generate more leads. That was such a great illustration of what the value is.
Yep.
Right? Because my son, he's 3 years old. He loves Despicable Me, and he loves Minions. So
Yeah, there we go.
I'm on a big Minions kick right now with him. But
Good timing, Fonzie. Good timing.
That was such a great illustration. Yeah, it was such a great illustration. So I know I'm bouncing all over the place, guys. You got to reel me in, but this is passion.
This is like is our passion. You know, the things that you talked about, and the we call it last podcast the golden boulders, because it's like the value that you guys are dropping. You know, they're not nuggets; they're massive, right? And just the fact that what you talked about, the 4 years to get to 90K downloads, right? And it's funny, like we just had a phone call with somebody that helps people on YouTube, like in their strategy, right? And they're like, the questions are like, well, I just want 100,000 subscribers tomorrow. And we're like, okay, well, first off, why? People go to our account and we're executing, right? And there's different processes and systems that we have on the back end, right? But you could totally make a living without 100K subscribers, right? And it does take time.
I don't have 100K subscribers on YouTube, but I do 7 figures a year.
Exactly. And it takes going to the biggest YouTube channels, and you'll see that those people have been publishing for years too. Like they didn't get where they are right now with just a few videos. Like it took consistency.
Yeah. The other one is like from how to who, right? And I think it applies to every stage, even from zero. At first, yes, you do have to do a lot of things, but if you have that mentality from the very beginning, it's going to make that change a lot easier. For us, that was massive too when we first starting, because at first, Fonzie here became a really good editor, a video editor but then after that was like, I'm done, dude. Like I'm alone. I need to interact with people.
Yeah, I don't even know if I've shared this before, but I remember. So we wanted to be professional soccer players, right? And when that didn't work out for us, we started the business. And eventually that led to getting into videography, started learning how to edit. And I remember one day, right, because my girlfriend would be like, oh, you're trying to do everything all over the place. And I remember one night I was sitting editing and she was right next to me. And I was like, you know what, babe? I think I found something that I can do for the rest of my life, right? While I was editing video. No, that was fake. That's not true, right? I was excited right now at the moment because I was learning new stuff, right? I was like, oh, this is so cool, so exciting. But it got to a point where I was so focused on the how, right? And then I had too many hows on my plate that I was like, dude, I don't want to do this anymore. It's like, I want to move on to the next thing, right? And then we started focusing on the who.
On the who.
Who can we bring that is going to help our business grow?
Yes, very powerful. And, you know, we heard Russell say, you know, you can always get it to like a 6, but then after that, you got to bring that who that was going to continue to elevate that right now. And now the team members that we're very lucky to have and the team, it's amazing because they're elevating the processes. They're working on it. They're motivated. They're like, oh man, can we try these things? Like, absolutely, go ahead, do it, right? And we use our content as guinea pig to try a bunch of stuff, and we're having a blast. And then people are connecting with you, and I'm sure you lived through that exact, you know, same thing, and still are, right?
Well, here's a great story. So I've been blessed to work with some really great clients. Okay. So when I was trying to find myself almost 10 years ago now, when I told Russell my story and he saw my work, he said, Henry, I got this new book coming out. It's called .com Secrets. I need a bunch of design work done. Could you do it? And I said, of course I could do it. He's like, how much would you charge me? I said, well, I don't know. What do you got going on? And he told me, well, I need this, and this. I said, all right, give me a day just to figure it out. And, you know, I got it back to him because I had just given him $5,000 plus I owed him another $5,000, right? So I said, how's $6,000? And he said, done. Wires me $6,000. And I'm like, what just happened? Right?
Beautiful.
He was looking for a who.
Yeah.
I happened to show up. We engaged. So I helped him with the first book launch. And then a couple months later, he was driving me crazy with his podcast cover. It was called Marketing in Your Car. And there was a weird illustration of his face on the cover. I'm like, what does that mean? Right? It was driving me nuts.
Yeah.
So on a Sunday morning, in like 15 minutes, I whipped up a podcast cover design for him. And I sent it to him. And he was like, dude, this is insane. Oh my God. Right? Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So I didn't hear from him. I didn't think he was going to use it. A couple weeks later, he hits me up. He's like, hey, that podcast cover design. Can I get a couple more different size dimensions? We're going to be using it for something. I said, sure. So he uses it. A day later, he says, Henry, we're looking for somebody. I have 6 designers I'm working with right now. They're all coming back with different look and stuff. It's all over the place. We want to take this business to $1 billion. Like, we need somebody to come in and really streamline everything for us. Would you be willing to do that? And I said, absolutely. So I worked with him for the next 2.5 years. We branded ClickFunnels to what you see today. And 6 months after I got done with that project, he hit $100 million in revenue.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. That's a standing ovation moment for sure.
The crowd is, that's amazing. What a cool story. Like, what a cool story.
Yeah, you know, and there's a lot of things. I must say there were a lot of things on the previous story that I'm sad we didn't get to cover. We might jump back in that one.
Part 2 is so needed. Just saying. I'm just going to put it out there.
Yeah, for sure. But, you know, out of this story, which is absolutely amazing, there's a few things that I feel like we've experienced in a way too, which first is joining communities, like those environments. Like you were like, okay, first I need an environment that is going to help me grow. And you knew you had to invest in Russell's program. So the similar happened to us where like we were, you know, our progress was minimal, very minimal until we
negative.
Yeah, almost. Yeah, probably negative. And we went to this event with Steve Larson, which probably you know, and we were like, he made an offer, money we didn't have. Pretty similar story, right? And we're like, you know what?
Yeah, I literally quit my job. On Thursday, and we traveled to Boise on Friday to go to Steve's event. and he launches the
And
offer.
then he drops that offer.
That
It's like,
we're like, how much is that gonna be? Like $5,000, maybe. And then he goes like, no, it's like at least 5 times that. And we're like, holy crap! Like, we know that's the environment. We know that's the mentorship that we needed at the time. And like Fonzie was saying, we figured out a way. There was we no
had
money.
Sweaty armpits, we're like shaking on the table, like, should we do it? The timer, 1 minute left, 59
Myron
seconds.
Golden repitching. Yeah.
So, I mean,
odds against
at the end of the day, I'm thankful my brother stood up, against all his nerves, and he went and signed up. But following your story along, that led to new connections, right? And probably connections that are dream customer material. I mean, who wouldn't love to work with Russell Brunson? And for us, that new environment meant the same thing, new connections, right? And we made new friendships. And out of that same mastermind that we actually have a few people in there that became our clients, right? Because we just started talking, we created this relationship, eventually was like, yeah, we'll do this for you. This is what we do. And it turned out being into an amazing partnership. So I do want to encourage everybody that is listening right now or watching to go out there and join these masterminds or these groups, these different environments of people that are, a few steps ahead of you, because that's how you're actually going to get growth. And it's okay to put yourself in a situation, Here, Henry, he had to put himself into debt, but it was a smart debt that was going to give you a smart ROI. Same with us. We were in a debt that we didn't even know how we were going to pay that. We're like, oh man, this is going to be
It was
intense.
like five credit cards, credit report.
Yeah.
It was fun. But dude, we could literally talk about this like all day long. And definitely there's not a 24-hour live marathon next. But dude, Henry, I want to ask you, like, there's 2 quick questions. The first one is, what is a quick action point for somebody that's starting, to publish, is starting with, they have a business, they don't have it quite dialed down, and they're starting to put their voice out there. Like, what is something that they can do today, to move that needle forward?
Yeah, that's a great question. The first thing that I would do if I was starting out all over again is, define who it is that I really wanted to serve, that really is looking for your product or service deliverable, right? What is the end result that they're going to get, right? That's number 1. Number 2 is I would go out there and I would really do my homework as to what are some of the big objections that they're going to have with your product or service. Like, why aren't they going to buy? All right. And list those and creating content around them, right?
Yep.
Every piece of content should be an objection response, right? The other thing that I would do is join the Facebook groups that have your potential clients in them. And you don't have to reply to everybody. You don't even have to reply at all for the first 2 weeks. Just look and see what questions are being asked in those communities and start to create content around those questions in the form of an answer. Now your content, your social media platforms would be like a giant FAQ platform. The other thing that I would do is stay away from trying to be on all the platforms at once. All right. We're working with a client right now in New York City. They have a huge solar panel installation company. We rebranded them from scratch because they look like, they look like a Mickey Mouse company. They're a $5 million company.
Wow.
They've been around for a decade and they didn't look anything like that, what they have, right? What they really are, right? So we rebranded him. And we're going to be launching in the next couple of weeks. But that was the big thing. And I told them they wanted to be on Google Ads. They wanted to be on YouTube. They wanted to be on Facebook. And I said, no, you want to do this right?
Yeah.
We're going to start with Facebook and we're going to dominate Facebook. We're going to see where we're at in 90 days. And if we can run Facebook on its own and we're generating an ROI with lead gen, then we can move to YouTube. If
Beautiful.
not, we stay there until we can get it right.
We crack
So
it,
that's
yeah.
my advice to you guys is, so I started with Instagram, built my Instagram up to close to 160,000 followers, right? And then I started YouTube. I'm always teasing around YouTube, but I realized that people really started to like my podcast. So my two main channels is Instagram podcast.
Beautiful.
Everything else is second and tertiary, and I'm not really spending too much time there. So focus on one platform that your audience is at, or they're hanging out on, and go all in.
Yeah.
I love it. I love that action point. Thank you. You know, focus has been one of our 2020 words for sure.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Thank you. I appreciate it. And then obviously, where will you be? And this is my favorite question ever.
Yeah. Before you answer the question, I want to give a little bit of context to the audience, because I don't think we mentioned that Henry here has over 350 podcast
Just
episodes.
saying. Yes.
Yeah. No big deal.
No
you know,
biggie. No biggie. No biggie.
So
Humble brag.
yeah. So man, I mean, props to you.
Yeah, props to you. Amazing.
And
Amazing.
now you can ask that question.
Okay, sweet. So with that in mind, thank you, audience. Now you're primed. Okay, where will you be if you did not publish? Where will you be if you did not publish?
Oh man, I would be a ghost. I would be a ghost. Nobody would know who I am, you know. And my biggest thing is this, right? We all gotta find a reason, right? When you find a big enough reason, you will do whatever it takes, right? Mm-hmm. And I have a 3-year-old son. Okay, and he is so advanced and I know everyone's going to be like, oh, you're just saying that because it's your kid. I got to tell you, this kid's vocabulary and how he puts things together is unbelievable at the age of 3. Okay, and there's going to come a time, and all you parents out there know how fast time goes when you have a kid. There's going to come a time where he's going to Google my name, and he's going to watch things. He's going to hear things. He's going to read things. And I just want him to be proud of what he reads, watches, and hears. And so that is another big reason of why I publish, is because when I'm gone, he will have a blueprint of life through his father on social media. All he has to do is just watch the content, and I'll guide him long after I'm gone.
Wow.
So that's why I publish.
Wow, that's amazing.
I got like goosebumps, and I got a little emotional there because I do have a 16-month-old. So I just added that why is probably at the top, and I teared up because it's so emotional. So
I never heard I've honestly never heard like that take on content, and I think it's absolutely amazing. Yeah, I don't have kids yet. Hopefully,
that we know of.
That we know.
Okay. No, wow, that was beautiful, and you know, my wife doesn't jump and listens to the show. She's like, I hate your radio voice. What's that?
You're gonna have to send her this clip right here.
I know, that's it. So now she has to listen to this, dude. Amazing, and like, wow, like I am perplexed. I'm honored to have you here. Thank you so much for sharing all the value, sticking with us through all the technical issues, which is fine. Apparently, it's a tradition here at Content is Profit. But it's all good. It's all fun time. Where can people find you? Where can people connect with you?
Yeah, so you could go on iTunes, the Brand Doctor Podcast, on Instagram at the Brand Dr. Those are my two biggest platforms. And then my website is Unique Designs with a Z at the end, not an S, .net. And then you'll have access to tons of videos, tons of content. You'll get access to my YouTube channel, tons of trainings and things like that I just give away. And if you feel that you're a good candidate for the Brand Accelerator program, I highly recommend you book a consult with me. And we will get that assessment out of the way and get you the clarity and focus you need to really take your brand to the next level and make something that you're truly proud of.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. I'm going to encourage everybody to go check him out. You heard it. And Instagram is @theBrandDr.
Links in the description below, so you can just like scroll down and click it right there.
And the Brand Doctor Podcast, right?
Absolutely. Awesome.
Yep.
Awesome.
I think that's it for now. Henry, stay for like 2 seconds because you're going to be part of the Hispanic goodbye. And with that being said, thank you so much for tuning into the Content is Profit podcast. Go ahead and subscribe. Smash that subscribe button and follow us on social media.
At BIZBROS Co.
There you go.
Thank you guys. And if you find this episode impactful, please don't forget to share it and leave a 5-star review. Thank you.
Bye.